Hi, and welcome to this video about ChatGPT 5.6, which is also called Sol, Terra, and Luna for our Sun, our Earth, and our Moon. And the size of the object is the one that will help you understand which is the biggest one, Sol being the big one, Terra being the middle one, and Luna being the small one. So in the past, we had 5.5 and we only had reasoning efforts, and then we had the mini models. But now we have these three different tiers, most likely inspired by the different tiers Anthropic's Claude have with Fable and Opus and Sonnet and so on. So we need to learn this new way of working. And in this video, I'm gonna go the technical route. There's lots of other videos who goes in and read the entire thing in here. The only thing I want to go in and say is the definite highlight in all of this is that much more intelligence with way fewer cost, especially compared to the Anthropic models. So the Anthropic models always cost more. Fable is here. And they are the same or a little better or a little worse depending on which of the different things you come on. But the cost is what uh, OpenAI is really touting here, and the output tokens. So cheaper and faster with roughly the same as Fable level. Sometimes Fable is higher in some of these, sometimes it's lower. But what I want to check more out is the technical parts of it. So for that, they have the model guidance here, which go in and talks a little about what is new here. So first of all, we have the new names, Sol, Terra, and Luna. So we just need to learn that whenever we work with a model, it's not just a model or dash mini, it's between these three. Luna seems to be the new mini. I don't think there is a nano anymore. Terra is something middle ground. I haven't had enough time, of course, yet to figure out which of these are the most correct one to use in uh, our production workloads. But I definitely think I will start with Luna and figure out if we need higher models. So what is new? They have something called programmatic tool calling. We have sort of covered this on the channel before because it's the same as what is called Codact, where we can let JavaScript get access to different tools and then let it write a small program that calls those tools in sequence instead of it needing to go back and forward between the model like we have seen before. Um, First of all of this is not yet in the NuGet packages, so much of this we can't really use yet. But of course, it will slowly come along to our systems. And of course, my 18 Framework Toolkit will begin to support as many of them as when the raw underlying calls will support it. But we have programmatic tool calling built in. It's a little like the code interpreter, so there will be some extra cost, it seems. And they have some more information about how it works. They're also building in multi-agents directly into the models. I haven't checked this out yet, but that sounds kind of interesting that one model call can actually go out and call other models. But we will need to see how that goes. And but it seems like it can begin to become an orchestra also on the API level without us needing to do anything. It's in beta, and of course we can't get it in the new package yet. But that's definitely a very interesting one. Then we have something that is a bit annoying, and that is the explicit prompt caching. Not that explicit prompt caching is bad, where we can control exactly what's being cached and what's not, but that the new pricing is 1.25x of uncached. So if we look quickly at the pricing, we can see that it says, yeah, it's $5 for 1 million input tokens, but that's actually not really the cost unless you are under 1,000 tokens. The real price will be the cash rights, which is the 6.25. So it's a kind of small increase in price that we don't really notice, but we will actually be billed this number and not this. Seems like you can't turn it off, which is really, really annoying. Because I like the old way of caching, but needing to pay for it now, uh, we will see. Many uh, many calls that are small don't use caching at all, but we will see what will happen. But in terms of pricing else, we can see here's 5.5 that we can compare it to. So Sol and 5.5 are the same, and then Terra and Luna is not kind of mini. They are both a little more expensive. You can see 0.75 versus 1. And the middle chart here, Terra, is kind of interesting to figure out what will we use that for. But only time will tell. But else, it's a reasonable price. It's not a big price hike, except for the cash rights. Then they talk about persistent reasoning, which is something about the reasoning that is being made by an LLM call can now be sent on to the next call, so it can work between different calls. Then, if it has reasoned about something, and we give it a follow-up question, it can use that reasoning. I actually thought it did that already, but apparently it didn't. So now it will be able to do that. Then there's a new reasoning effort. It is, in general, very confusing right now what different reasonings there are. Because if we look at the reasoning over here, they go in and show that they have none, low, medium, high, X high. They have been there for a while. But now they talk about max over here, which is not listed in this, despite it already talking about 5.6. So it's a little unknown why max is shown here, but not over here. I have tried it in the code, and it goes through, but you can essentially write anything here, and it goes through. So I'm not sure if it takes effect or not yet. But it is there, and in the same manner, there's also something called Ultra. But Ultra is actually the multi-agent part that is taking effect. So it's I don't think we'll ever get a ultra reasoning effort, but we need to combine it with the multi-agent part here in order to use that. Then there's also something called Pro mode for reasoning, where we can set a new mode between either, you can see it over here, you can set it either to mode Pro or mode standard, and it just talks about it. It's for even more difficult tasks. So we are slowly getting into all kinds of tweaks and things, uh, which will be annoying to sit and tweak all of it instead of just having the effort. But apparently these things are what sells to others. So that's in here. Then they, of course, talk about the token efficiency, which is really good as well. And the real reason why I feel like ChatGPT is on the right end, they actually care about it instead of the other models, Google and Anthropic, just throwing more tokens after it. That's, of course, one way of doing it, but it comes at the behalf of our time and our cost. These models seems to become just smarter instead of just bigger. There's some safeguards and all kinds of things, and various things you need to go in and and do if you switch to these models. So we have been going through this, and here's a little more about this Cas-Write tokens. It doesn't come out into Agent Framework yet. It's a new setting that is not mapped yet, but probably will. Pricing we have talked about. Availability. I was heavily surprised that I just went into my ai.azure.com and could deploy them with tons of output tokens. I went in, see them right here, and I can get, what is this even? To 1 million tokens per minute. That's fairly decent compared to in the old days where we couldn't get any tokens. So I have full access. I didn't need to ask for any permissions or anything. So that's a really good step forward. I, for some reason, don't have access in the platform.openai.com. I don't know if it's just because it's not rolled out yet to everyone, or I'm on a too low tier. I don't really use the OpenAI directly, so they might not need higher tiers before you get access to 5, 6. But I don't have access at the moment. In terms of code, let's jump into the code here. There's nothing new under the sun here yet. We just give the model name, and it works entirely. It's just a new model with a new name. So hadn't expected anything else. Of course, the interesting parts come when we begin to get some of these new reasoning options, pro mode, multi-agent, and all these things. But that will be for another video once we begin to get this. I guess it will take a couple of months before it actually jumps in here, because it's brand new things that are only to OpenAI, and of course trying to get the correct settings and things. But once they're there, I will make videos about it, of course. But else it comes back, it can do the work and so on. But of course, I can't really stress test it here. Where I can test it is in Codex. And in Codex, we already see that we have the various effort levels on Sol, including Max and Ultra. And again, Ultra is a multi-agent system. We have access to all of them in here. And in order to test it, you might know that I'm making a Let's Build a Chatbot series where I've made this small chatbot using Agent Framework in Blazor Server, where I made all this over a series of 17 different videos so far. So one thing I know that I need to do in the future is to take this and build a backend instead of just Blazor Server and a front end using React. So I thought that could be an interesting thing to see how well a 5.6 Solar extra high could take care of that. So I told it we have the Blazor Server implementation. And what we should do is we should make a separate ASP.NET Core backend with minimal API that uses the same logic from service defaults in Aspire. And then it should build from scratch a new front end that should have the same look and feel as the Blazor front end. And it should then have 2 chatbots. It thought about that for 24 minutes. Doing a bunch of work, and the result is pretty impressive. So here we have the Blazor Server version. Now it also have the React front end and back end with C# down here. I haven't checked out the code yet. That will be part of the series after summer. But just so we know that it is possible, because here is the Blazor server version, and this is what it built more or less in one go. It had one problem when I hovered the mouse over these. It blinked a lot. I told it to stop doing that. Down here, when hovering a mouse, and it fixed that. There's still a few things, like for example, if I press here, it goes away, but that's just a prompt to get rid. But else, this is an entirely fully fledged chatbot using a backend and a front end with authentication fully without me needing to do anything. There seems to be streaming as well, which I haven't checked out how to do, because I wouldn't even know how to do that right now. That was for after summer for me to figure out. It can do the image generation, it can do the tool calling, and everything. I have tested the recording of audio. I have tried to ask it for images and PDFs. It made the settings. They jump a little, but again, this is 2 prompts getting this up and running without me needing to do anything. I had not expected it to be to this level. So if that's the capabilities of the model, then we are definitely in for a treat once we get to really going with this. So again, it made a brand new project here with API, with authentication, with all the endpoints. Again, I need to go in and check all this code out, and it made a React solution here with all the code. We don't see the code here, but it made the components needed and so on. So I'm quite pleased with the model when it comes to the codex level, and as I go along and build more information in and use it a bunch over in my work, I will also jump back to how it is. But so far, this looks really, really promising. There's a lot of things that are not exposed yet in the C# APIs, but that will come. It's not like there's any revolution in how we will use Agent Framework going forward, because while we get new modes and stuff like that, it's not really anything different. But that's just API for you. Nothing much have changed over the last couple of years in terms of really a brand new way of doing things. It's just more intelligence, and that's really, really good for us with some tweaks. And I will go into various videos about those tweaks as they get available in Agent Framework. But for now, that's it. See you in the next one.